Hello students, this is Rudra here, back with one of your English classes. So today I am going to go through the story All Summer in a Day by Ray Douglas Bradbury, which is there in your ICC treasure trove. In fact, it is the last of your ICC stories, story number 10. Okay. So first I will go into the line by line explanation of the text, and then after that I will discuss some final points regarding the story. Now before we go into it, of course you have to understand some basic things. Like first, it is a science fiction. That means the basis or the background of the story is science, number one. Number two, which you have to realize is that it's a fictional world wherein Venus, the planet, is painted as a very rainy planet. All the time it rains. In fact, as per the story, it rains for 7 years, and then for one day, in one day, there is 1 hour single of sunlight. That's the summer, and then again the rain starts. So that's basically the premise of the story. And as we move on, we will understand a lot of things which are there, and then I will discuss to you the final points of. Okay. So have your text. It's on page number 108 of your treasure trove. All Summer in a Day by Ray Douglas Bradbury. So the story starts with ready, a question, and then an answer, ready. Now someone is asking a question and someone is giving an answer. Who is the person asking the question? The children are asking the question. Who is giving the answer? The teacher of these children is giving the answers. So ready, the teacher answers ready. Again the students ask, now, teacher says soon. Do the scientists really know? Will it happen today? Will it? They are very curious to know. And what does the teacher say? Look, see for yourself. He says, why? Look out of the window and you will see. The children press to each other like so many roses, so many weeds, intermixed, peering out for a look at the hidden sun. So they all clambered up towards the window pane and they all pressed their faces together. So it looked like a flower bouquet. If you imagine the faces of the children to be flowers, and there's a lot of different kind of faces together, so different kind of flowers tied up together to make a flower bouquet. Similarly, these children crowded up together like a flower bouquet full of flowers towards the window pane to see outside what's happening. It rained outside. It was raining as usual. It had been raining for 7 years. Thousands upon thousands of days compounded and filled from one end to the other with rain. So one after the other, rain has been falling day after day after day. So if you calculate 1 year as 365 days, 7 years, 365 into 7, so you can understand it moves over to 1,000 more than 1,000 days. So that's why he says thousands and thousands of days. There's a drum and gush of water with a sweet crystal fall of showers and the concussion of storms. So heavy there were tidal waves come over the island. So there are different kinds of rain. There's a gentle shower, then there's a medium sized rain, and then there's a fierce storm which blows and causes tidal waves to come and cover up the islands. 1,000 forests have been crushed under the rain and grown up 1,000 times to be crushed again. Now forests could not grow straight, perpendicular, because the waters would wash them down as a small crop. So what happened? The trees grew sideways. They didn't grow perpendicular, horizontal. They grew sideways. And this was the life forever on the planet Venus. And this was the schoolroom of the children of the rocket men and women who had come to a raining world to set up civilization and live out their lives. So these people who had come from Earth in rockets to live out the rest of their lives, they were the people who had come in here, and they had set up this civilization here and lived in this raining world. It's stopping. The children are very excited because the rain is stopping. So they are saying, it's stopping. Yes. Margot stood apart from them, from these children. Who could ever remember a time when there wasn't rain and rain and rain? So these children from their birth, they had been only listening to the rain. The rain had been falling in a little bit of drops, and it had been falling in torrential showers. It had been going on and on. So they couldn't remember a time when there was no rain, because since their birth all they had seen was rain in different forms. They do not remember that 1 hour when, as 2 years old children, they had enjoyed that period of sunlight. They were all 9 years old, and if they had been a day 7 years ago when the sun came out for an hour and showed its face to the stunned world, they could not recall. That is, they could not remember that one single hour at the age of 2, how they experienced the sun and all that. Sometimes at night she heard them still in remembrance, and she knew they were dreaming and remembering gold or a yellow crayon or a coin large enough to buy the world with. So this is what the children were doing. They were dreaming, and Margot saw that these children were dreaming about the gold, imagining sun to be like gold, or a yellow crayon, or someone was imagining to be a big coin large enough to buy the world with. She knew they thought they remembered a warmness, like a blushing in the face, in the body, in the arms and legs, and trembling hands. They felt faintly remembered a warmness because they had been told about it. So they imagined that it's warmness which they felt. It's on the body, the arms, the legs, and trembling hands. And then, like a blushing in the face. Now, blushing in the face, like a blushing in the face, it's an example of a simile. Just as a person blushes, similarly, you go out in the sunlight falls on your cheeks, and your cheeks get red, just like you, as if you are blushing. So that is the comparison. But then they always awoke to the tattling drum, the endless shaking down of clear bead necklaces upon the roof, the walk, the gardens, the forest, and their dreams were gone. So all around, when they woke up, what did they hear? They heard the drum sound. What is the drum sound? Actually, the raindrops pit-patting here and there, that is the drum beats. The endless shaking down of the clear bead necklaces. Now, bead necklaces which are shaken, the beads touch one another, or if it is broken, they fall one after the other. So the raindrops were also clashing against one another, creating that kind of noise, or falling one after the other. All day yesterday they had read in class about the sun, about how like a lemon it was. Again, simile, how like a lemon it was, sun was like a lemon. How hot. They had written small stories and essays or poems about it. I think the sun is a flower that blooms for just an hour. That was Margot's poem. So Margot had written this poem. I think the sun is a flower that blooms for just 1 hour. The poem, this was Margot's poem, read in a quiet voice in the still classroom when the rain was falling outside. She quietly read it in class. Oh, you didn't write that, protested one of the boys. I did, said Margot, I did. William, said the teacher. So one of the boys tried to bully her, said, no, you did not write it and all. But what happened? The teacher said, William, to the boy, William, be quiet. But that was yesterday. Now the rain was slackening. Slackening means decreasing. And the children were crushed in the great thick windows. The children were as if crushed like, as I told, bouquet of flowers. Whereas the teacher, she will be back. She'd better hurry. She will miss it. So she should better hurry, or she will miss it. Now you see, there is a case of the other children together and Margot on the other side. If you go back a little bit back, Margot stood apart from them. Margot is away from them. Margot is not with them. She is separated from them. Number one. Then there is the point that she says she had written this poem, and there she is. The rain, about the sun, she had written that the sun is a flower that blooms for just an hour, again different from the others. So anyway, she will be, where's the teacher? She will be back, she will better hurry, we will miss it. If the teacher doesn't come, we can't go out and we'll miss it. They turned on themselves like a feverish wheel, all tumbling spokes. Now in a cycle you have spokes. When a cycle wheel turns, all the spokes function together. So here also, they were like a feverish wheel with tumbling spokes, one after the other. They were not separated from one another. Margot stood alone. Again, see, earlier it was written Margot stood apart from them, here it is Margot stood. So constantly she is segregated, she is kept separate from everyone else. She was a very frail girl who looked as if she had been lost in the rain for years, and the rain had washed out the blue from her eyes, and the red from her mouth, and the yellow from her hair. So it appears that she was as if the colors from her hair, her cheeks, her lips were gone. She was an old photograph, dusted from an album, whitened away, and if she spoke at all. So now her comparison is with a dusted, whitish kind of a character whose colors have been faded off. A picture whose colors had faded off. She looked just like that. And if she spoke at all, her voice would be a ghost. And even when she spoke, her voice was like that of a ghost, a ghostly voice she spoke. Now she stood separate, staring at the rain and the loud, wet world beyond the huge glass. She quietly stood separate from all of them. She was staring at the rain, and loud, wet word. Well, why loud? Because the raindrops are falling, so it's a loud, wet word outside, and the huge glass windows which are there. What are you looking at? Said William. Margot said nothing. Margot said nothing. Speak when you are spoken to. Now, William is in an attitude where he wants some kind of interaction so that he can deal with her. But here Margot gives no reaction. She is a passive character. There's a speak when you are spoken to. He gave her a shove, but she did not move. Rather, she let herself be moved only by him and nothing else. So when that didn't work, what he did was he gave her a shove or a push. She did not move. Rather, she allowed that push to take her as far as it would go. They edged away from her. They would not look at her. She felt them go away. So they did not regard her as one of them. So they moved away from her. They kept her away and they went away. And this was because she would play no games with them in the echoing tunnels of the underground city. And why was it so? Because she could not adjust. She was accustomed to playing out in the open sky. But here, she cannot. She has to play in the underground tunnels. It's very difficult for her, so she cannot play. If they tagged her and ran, she stood blinking after them and did not follow. Tag means if someone pulls your dress or shirt or something and runs, then you also, that's tagging, and you also run. So here when they pulled her hair or pulled her dress or something or did something else, she didn't follow them or run after them as the other children would. When the classes sang song about happiness and life and games, her lips barely moved. So these are topics which did not interest her. That's why when they sang of happiness, life, games, her lips barely moved. Only when they sang about the sun and summer did her lips move as she watched the drenched windows. She looked out at the drenched windows and they were singing of sun and summer that she liked. So this suggests that she is a character who loves the sun and the summer season. And then of course the biggest crime of all was that she had come here only 5 years ago from Earth, and she remembered the sun and the way the sun was and the sky was when she was 4 in Ohio. And the greatest crime that she had done is that she had come here only 5 years ago, and of course she knew a lot of the sun and how long it lasted and all that things. So when she was 4 years old in Ohio. And then they had been on Venus all their lives, and they had been only 2 years old when the last of the sun came out, and the long seen spot and the color and the heat of it and the way it really was. So this is what I was saying. At 2 years of age, they had really forgotten the color, the heat and the way it looked and all that. Everything they had forgotten. So it was for them very, very kind of degrading that Margot had seen the sun, Margot had enjoyed all the privileges, but they could not. So they kept her away. It's like, but Margot remembered. So, but that's the contrast from Margaret with the others. She remembered. It's like a penny, she said once, eyes closed. No, it's not, the children cried. It's like a fire, she said, in a stove. You are lying, you don't remember, said the children. So the children constantly bombard her with negatives, saying, no, you don't know, you are lying, you don't remember, etc., etc. So that she may be at par, but she says, no, I have seen. But she remembered and stood quietly apart from all of them, watching the patterning windows. She quietly stood there, watching the patterning windows. And once, a month ago, she had refused to shower in the school shower rooms, had clutched her hands to her ears, over her head, screaming, the water mustn't touch her head. So once she had that kind of a water phobia or nervous breakdown in terms of the water all around and all. So that's why she had refused to have a shower. She started screaming her head, saying that the water must not touch my head and all that. So after that, dimly she sensed it, she was different, and they knew her difference and kept away. She slowly realized that she is different. The others also realized this, and they kept away from her. There was talk that her father and mother were taking her back to Earth next year. It seemed vital to her that they do so. So it was very vital, it was very essential for them to move back to the Earth, and that is what her parents were about to do. Her parents were going to take her there, and that is one more reason why the children here in Wales were not so much attached to Margot. It was vital to her. Vital means very, very essential, otherwise she wouldn't survive, though it would mean the loss of thousands of dollars to her family, but the cost of this space travel would cost them thousands of dollars. And so the children hated her for all these reasons of big and small consequences. They hated her pale snow face, her waiting silence, her thinness, and her possible future. So all these things are points are given. Number one, her pale snow face, which is whitish. Number one. Number two, her waiting silence, the way she was a very silent and passive character. Three, her thinness, very thin. And number four, her possible future. Get away, the boy gave her another push. What are you waiting for? Give her a push, answer. Then for the first time she turned and looked at him, and what she was waiting for was in her eyes. So she was pushed, and this time there was something in her eyes which she was waiting for. Well, don't wait around here, said the boy savagely. You won't see anything. Her lips moved. Nothing, he cried. It's all a joke, wasn't it? He turned to the other children. And they want to just make a fool of her and says, no, today what happened? Do you think something is going to happen? No, nothing is going to happen. And he turned to the other children. That is, William turned to the other children. Nothing is happening today, is it? They all blinked at him and then understanding laughed and shook their heads. Nothing. So he blinked at them and said, today nothing is happening, bro. Nothing. And they also winked back and said, no, nothing. Oh, what Margaret whispered with her eyes helpless. But this is the day the scientists predict. They say, the sun. He says, but today is the day scientists have made calculation and they say today is the day that the sun is going to come out. All a joke, said the boy and seized her roughly. Hey, everyone, let's put her in the closet before the teacher comes. So let us put in a closet before the teacher comes. Now the logic is that you have already seen the sun, so there is no need for you to see the sun. We have never seen the sun yet, and so let us see and enjoy the sun. No, said Margaret, falling back. They surged about her, caught her up, and bore her, protesting and then pleading and then crying, back into a tunnel, a room, a closet where they slammed and locked the door. So they surged about her means they circled her, caught her up, bore her. She was protesting, she was pleading, she was crying, but they took her through the tunnel to a room, and finally in the room they had a closet. They locked her inside. They stood looking at the door and saw it tremble from her beating and throwing herself against it. They heard her muffled cries, then smiling they went. They turned and went out and back to the tunnel as the teacher arrived. So what they did, they took her in the tunnel, a room, and in that room there was a closet. They slammed and locked it, and she threw herself, she beat up the door and she was crying and all that, but it was of no use. So then smiling they turned and went out and back down the tunnel just as the teacher arrived. So they were ready before the arrival of the teacher, and the teacher in the meantime came. Ready, children? She glanced at her watch. Yes, said everyone. Are we all here? Yes. Again they lied. They said yes. The rain slackened still more. They crowded to the huge door. The rain stopped. Now, this part is a bit confusing, so I'll try to explain it, but still if you are not able to, write to me and I will try to explain it again to you. Okay. So it was in the midst of a film concerning an avalanche, a tornado, a hurricane, a volcanic eruption. Something has first gone wrong with the sound apparatus, thus muffling and finally cutting off all the sound, all the blast and repercussion and thunder. And then, second, ripped the film from the projector and inserted in its place a beautiful tropical slide which did not move or tremor. Now the thing being mentioned is all these events as if you are watching it, and when you are watching it there is action and there is a sound also of snow breaking down or landslide, the land breaking down. But here it is as if first the sound is disturbed, that is you can only see the picture, you cannot see the sound, hear the sound, and then that picture, that thing is taken out as if you are in a movie theater and they are playing that movie. The reel is taken out and the next reel is inserted which is of a beautiful tropical scenery or a picture of the beautiful tropical slide. Now the thing being said here is that the rain, it stopped like this. That is why it is said the rain stopped first, the pattering sound of the rain stopped, but you can still see the drops, and finally suddenly, just as you switch on and switch off a light, similarly the sun came out. It didn't came out or rather it didn't come out just as we are accustomed to seeing the sun rise for a period of time, sunset for a period of time. No, it was just like on, the sun comes out, off, the sun goes down. So the door slipped back and the smell of the waiting, in a beautiful tropical slide which did not move or tremor. Now, why is there no movement? There is no movement, there is no sound. Okay, that's what it said. Did not move or tremor. So they did not move and tremor. What is the meaning? The meaning here is there is no sound, there is no movement. How can there be movement when there are no animals, birds, creatures, insects, nothing? So how can there be movement? There cannot be any movement. The trees are not long, with bushy and with branches and all. It's not like that also. So another option. Now second is tremor, and nothing shook and nothing moved also. How can it move? How can there be any sound? It stands still. Why? There is no creature to make a noise. Simple. The word ground to a standstill. The silence was so immense and unbelievable that you felt your ears had been stuffed, or you had lost your hearing altogether. Sometimes when you hear a loud noise for a long period of time and then when it is stopped, you place your hand to your ears to confirm whether you have actually deaf or not. So when you say no, I can hear, it's okay. So the children had been hearing the sound of the rain for 7 years, and after 7 years they finally got relief. So it's unbelievable for them. They felt as if the silence was so immense and unbelievable that you felt your ears had been stuffed. Someone had put cotton wool in your ears, that's why you cannot hear. Or you had lost your hearing altogether. Or you may think that no, I have gone deaf, I cannot hear anything. The children put their hands to their ears and stood apart. The door slid back and the smell of the silent waiting world came into them. So the silent waiting world, the sweet smell of rain came to them. The sun came out, and suddenly out of nowhere the sun came out. I told you before also, the sun coming out is just suddenly. It was the color of flaming bronze, it was very large, and the sky around it was blazing blue tile color. Against the backdrop of blue, it was the large flaming bronze colored sun. And the jungle burned with with sunlight, as the children released from their spell rushed out yelling into the springtime. Now the children were seeing the sun for the first time. They were actually spellbound, and then after some time their spell was released and they ran into the springtime, the forest. Now don't go far, called the teacher after them. You have only 2 hours, you wouldn't want to get caught out. The teacher is also so much excited that she mistakes 1 hour for 2 hours. Okay, so she is also one who is seeing this spectacle after 7 years. So she imagines, okay, what a wonderful sight is there. And in the process, she forgets 1 hour and 2 hours. But they were running and turning their cheeks up to the sky and feeling the sun on their cheeks like a warm iron. So they turning their faces up, feeling the sun on their cheeks. They were taking off their jackets and letting the sun burn their arms. Taking off the jacket, they stretched out their hands for the sun to warm them. Oh, it's better than the sun lamps, isn't it? Much, much better. They stopped running and stood in the great jungle that covered Venus, that grew and never stopped growing, tumultuously as you watched it. So it's a constantly growing kind of a forest, and this jungle is never stopped growing. It grows constantly. It has constant supply of water, so there's nothing to stop it. It was a nest of octopi, clustering up arms of weed, flesh-like weed. So they were like clusters of octopus's arms, as if stretching up. So they were also like that. Great arms of flesh like weed, wavering, flowering in this brief spring. So in this brief spring season, they were as if flowering and all that. It was the color of rubber and ash, this jungle, for many years without sun. It was the color of stones and white cheese and ink. It was the color of the moon. So these are all colors which are either white, ash, grey, black, all these colors. Okay, that is what is being said here. That because of the absence of the sunlight, as you know, there can be no photosynthesis and all that. So that is being suggested. The children lay out laughing on the jungle mattress. Jungle mattress is the branches of the jungles, and heard it sigh and squeak about them, resilient and alive. As if it is resilient, as if it is alive and full of life, they can hear it. They ran among the trees, they slipped and fell, they pushed each other, they played hide and seek and tag, and most of all, they squinted at the sun till the tears ran down their eyes. Squinted at the sun, this is something, a new game where they look up at the sun with their eyes small, squinted. And there were tears in their eyes, tears ran down their eyes. They put their hands up to that yellowness and that amazing blueness, and they breathed of the fresh air and listened to the silence which suspended them in a blessed sea of no sound and no motion. So they were listening to that freshness of soundlessness, rather, number one. Number two, the freshness of the air around, and the silence which has no sound, no motion, nothing. That also. They looked at everything and savoured everything. Savoured means tasted and enjoyed. Tasted and enjoyed everything. Then wildly like animals escaped from their caves, they ran and ran in shouting circles. They actually don't know what to do. So they're running about here and there into the forest and going around in circles. They ran for an hour and did not stop running. For 1 hour they ran and did not stop running during this time. And then in the midst of the running, one of the girls waited. Suddenly one of the girls who were playing out of all the children, she suddenly cried out. Everyone stopped. The girl standing in the open held out her palm. She was holding out her palm. Oh, look, look, she said, trembling. They came slowly to look at her open palm. In the center of it, cupped and huge, was a single raindrop. She began to cry looking at it. And while she was crying, on her open palm there was a cupped single drop of water. It looked like a heaped up water bubble or water drop. She began to look, crying, looking at it. They glanced quietly at the sun, and they quietly looked up at the sun. Oh, a few drops, cold drops, fell on their noses, their cheeks, their mouths. So as they were looking up at the sun, a few drops of water fell on their noses, cheeks, and mouth. The sun faded behind a streak of mist. As I said, it will go back quickly. A wind blew cold around. The cold wind suddenly started to blow. They turned and started to walk back towards the underground house, their hands at their sides, their smiles vanishing. When the smiles had vanished, their hands on their hips, and they were walking slowly. A boom of thunder startled them, and like leaves before a new hurricane, they tumbled upon each other and ran. Now here another example, just as when the hurricane or a strong wind blows, what happens? The waves are all taken up together. Similarly here also, once that boom of thunder was heard, they all children gathered together. Earlier they were walking casually and in separate groups. Now they all clustered together. Lightning struck 10 miles away, 5 miles away, a mile and half a mile. The sky darkened into midnight in a flash. See, which I was telling, in a flash it is midnight. In a flash the sun comes out. So, the fact that 10 miles, 5 miles, 1 mile, half a mile means the rain is advancing towards them. They stood in the doorway of the underground for a moment until it was raining hard. Then they closed the door and heard the gigantic sound of the rain falling in tons and avalanches everywhere and forever. And once they closed the door, they heard the constant sound of the rain, which is going on and on and on. Like torrential rain, avalanches and all. Will it be 7 more years? Yes, 7. This is the teacher answering. Question is asked by the students. Then one of them gave a little cry. What? What? She's still in the closet and we locked her. He says, we locked her. What will happen? My God. They stood as if someone had driven them like so many stakes into the floor. You put in stakes into the ground for kind of fence or some kind of restrictions or anything. So children were also now like this. They were as if rooted to the ground. They looked at each other and then looked away. They glanced at the world that was raining now and raining steadily. So they looked outside at the world which is raining constantly. They looked at one another and then lowered their eyes. They could not meet each other's glances. They could not look straight at one another. Why? They had all done this crime. So that's why. Their faces were solemn and pale. They looked at their hands, their feet, their faces down. Their faces were down. And they looked at their hands, feet and all that. Margot, one of the girls said, well, no one moved. Go on, whispered the girl. So the girl is very sympathetic. She says, go, open the closet. They walked slowly down the hall in the sound of the cold rain. They turned through the doorway to the room in the sound of the thunder and lightning. Lightning up there on their faces, blue and terrible. They walked over to the closet slowly and stood by it. Went up to the closet, stood by it. Behind the closet door was only silence. They unlocked the door and even more slowly and let Margot out. Unlocked the door slowly and allowed Margaret to come out. So that concludes our text, and the explanations I will come to now after that we have finished the text. Okay, so let us discuss the final points regarding the story. Now, the final points means, first of all, you know what kind of story it is. It's a science fiction. Why is it a science fiction? Because of course there is the element of science involved, wherein Venus is regarded to be a planet which is raining all the time, and only once for 1 day, for 1 hour at least, you have the sun. So this kind of scientific theories are put into place, which acts as the backdrop for the story of Margot and the other children. So the story is written in 1959, when particularly the period between 1957 to 1975. This was a period regarded as the Cold War period, when the USA and the then USSR, Russia was at that time a lot of states together. It was known as the Union Soviet Socialist Republic. that USA and USSR were constantly at war with regard to space, and space interest was supreme at that time. People were very concerned as to what is going to happen, whether man will actually go to out in space and to moon and be able to land on the moon and all that. So USA and USSR, they were both constantly in tussle as to who is going to be supreme, who is going to conquer space, who is going to be the first to go to space, and etc, etc. So that was the time. So in that backdrop this story is written. Now there are a few other points like theme. Suppose the theme of there are a lot of themes. First is the theme of ignorance and its presence and absence highlighted. So theme of ignorance is its presence and absence both are highlighted. How the children knew only of sun lamps and could not remember the last time the sun shone. As you know, the children were then only 2 years old, so they did not remember or have any recollection about it, but they knew about sun lamps. They were ignorant of the benefits of the sun, so they do not remember the sun, and they are also ignorant about the benefits of the sun. Now, after experiencing the sun, it would be difficult for them to go back to the constant rain. That's a very important point, that once they have been used to and exposed to the sun, it would be very difficult for them to go back to that rainy atmosphere of Venus. As the rain begins to fall again, the children realize the gravity of the misdeed. And yes, of course, the gravity of the misdeed is putting Margot in the closet, preventing her from enjoying the sun, which will again come back 7 years later. So that guilty consciousness comes to them after they have been exposed to the sun, and the sun kind of acts as an antiseptic which washes away all their sins and bad qualities. So they become purified as if, and then they realize their guilt. But earlier they had not realized their guilt. Next, you have the theme of bullying and jealousy highlighted both in kids and grown-ups. Of course, bullying is there, where you have William and the other children. They bully Margot all the time, William in particular. Then ultimately, then they forcefully put her in a closet to prevent her from watching the sun come out. Next, you have theme of jealousy. Of course, there is the jealousy among the children, that Margot is one who is privileged. She has come from the earth after 4 years, after staying there for 4 years, and now there are talks that she will go there back again, although it would cost thousands of dollars. So her parents are rich, and her parents are also making a show off. They're saying, look, we have the money, we'll take our daughter away back to earth for our own benefit. So these are things which make other parents jealous, that why can't we take our children there? They probably do not have the resources. They are not as rich as Margot's parents are. So that's one of the reasons. Okay, next is the style. The style of the story is lucid and descriptive. It's very simply written, very easy. One reading of the story is enough, and you can easily understand everything. So Bradbury uses evocative and picturesque language. There are descriptions of the forest, there's a description of the children, which are very evocative and very picturesque. He uses familiar language to provide us a description of the landscape of Venus. The landscape of Venus is presented to us very nicely, and we are able to close our eyes and imagine what kind of landscape he is talking about. Next comes the title. The title is centered on the short-lived experience of the sun, so it is apt and suggestive. All summer in a day. So summer deals with the sun, of course. It is directly related to the sun, summer. So here the title is related to that particular day when the sun comes out. So it is directly centered around that particular aspect. So in that way it is very apt and relatable. The rain seems to have washed away the good qualities or personalities of the children. Yeah, very important point. The rain, which is constantly flowing, it seems to have washed away their good qualities, their personalities also, as they are quick-tempered and spiteful. That is why the children appear to be very hot-tempered, very irritated easily, and that kind, and very revengeful. They are constantly pulling each other's hair, or they are charging after one another, and all that. Their appearance is also described as pale and almost colorless. The rain seems to have washed away their color, the color from the skin also. They are pale and they are colorless and that kind of characters. Okay, next point is Margot's initial exclusion from the group may speak of the difficulties of integrating immigrants into a community. Now, what is immigrants? Immigrants are people who stay away far and then they try to come back to a particular point of society. For instance, if someone has gone to the US and is staying there for 5-6 years maybe, we take it, and then that person returns back to his hometown. Okay, suppose he lives in Kolkata and he tries to return back to Kolkata. So when he returns back, the others around find it difficult to assimilate him into their society. He also finds it difficult to adjust. It will take some time, and then finally he will be able to be in the mainstream. But at least for a few months or so, it will be very difficult for the people to adjust with him and to take him in, and for him also to be adjusted in the society. Okay, so that problem is resulted here, is referred to here in the case of Margot, who first of all is an immigrant to Venus because she was not born here. So she finds it difficult to adjust with the children there. The children also find it difficult to adjust with her. Okay, now after staying for so many years, when she would go back again back to the earth, then also there would be a problem. It would be difficult for her to adjust to that situation also, that particular society also. Society, the other children also there will again have faced the same problem of adjusting with Margot or taking her in. Okay. Next point, the sun. The sun depicts a restoration for the children. It gives color to their washed out appearance and gives new encouragement, strength and wholeness. So the sun acts as a restorative power. Earlier I had said about the rain seems to wash away all the color and personality and all. Here it is giving color to their washed out appearance, and it is giving new encouragement, strength and wholeness. And this, as the sun is said to be the source of power and energy and light and everything. So all the positive aspects are said about the sun. Other children realize how much Margot has sacrificed when she has moved from Ohio to Venus, only after they have spent some time in the sun and sunlight. The children realize the sacrifice that Margot has made when she had shifted over from Ohio to Venus. So what sacrifice she had made, what a beautiful place she was living in, and what a strange, dark and rainy planet she has come into and adjusted. That they realize only after they have spent that 1 hour in the sun, not before that. Power of the sun is absent among the children of the Venus. So because they are not exposed to the sun, the children seem to lack the power of the sun also. Okay, the illustrated language of the writer has enabled the readers to draw the picture of life and landscape on Venus. Of course, which I have said earlier, that is another point, that the way he has described everything, including the forest, the scenery, the point the sun comes out, or when the rain is falling, everything is described very nicely, so we get an idea about it. Margot is the main character of the story. She is a delicate and pale child. She is an introvert girl who doesn't want to mix up with anybody. There are many people who are extrovert who can easily mix with others. Margot is not such a type of girl. She is very calm, quiet, relaxing kind of a girl who is keeping to herself. So that's why it is difficult for her to mix up with the other children of Venus. She is bullied by others, and that is why she remains aloof. And more importantly, what happens, even if she had tried to mix with the other children, the way they bully her, the way they tease her and constantly disturb her, that makes her all the more an introvert, and that is why she stays apart and she stays aloof from them. The closet. The closet is a symbol of majority tyranny that Bradbury depicts, where Margot is minority. So, but it is true. So, minority, majority. The majority torture the minority, very simple. So, here the bullying aspect is highlighted, where Margot, who is in the minority, she is alone, and then there is a majority of a lot of people out there. So, what happens here is she is subjected to all these disturbances. In fact, she is put into the closet. So, it's a sign of the majority torture. So in a way, when Galileo also, you can take the example, when he said that the earth moves around the sun, he was punished. Why? He was in a minority, right? He was in a minority, and the others in the majority said, no, the sun moves around the earth. He is the only one who is saying the earth moves around the sun. So he is in a minority. So they tortured him, they insulted him, they tried to subdue him in all possible ways, and finally they poisoned him. Okay, next point is William is the main antagonist in the story. The negative hero, we may say. He is the main culprit who talks and takes actions on behalf of the other children. So he is the kind of leader who takes actions and talks on behalf of the other children of Venus. He is a jealous boy who is devoid of feelings, maybe because of the absence of the sun on Venus. So maybe because of the absence of the sun, just like the other children also, he is jealous, he is spiteful, he behaves in that fashion. He doesn't have that warmth of feelings to embrace others into his life and into his group of friends. His power of thinking is lost. The children are intolerant towards those who do not fit in their set norms. So, because Margot doesn't fit into their set norms of society, she or the other children, she's different from the other children. That is why she doesn't seem to fit in. And because she doesn't seem to fit in, she is in a minority, and they kind of disturb her, tease her, oppress her in whatever way they can. So now next is if we can divide this story, if we want to divide this story into points, so it would be like this. The introduction is there in the beginning, where you have the class of school children in Venus, which as per the story is a world of rainstorms, where sun is only visible for an hour every 7 years. So that acts as the introduction to the story. Then you have the conflict, where one of the children, Margot, comes to Venus from Earth 5 years earlier. She is the only one in her class to remember sunshine and have seen it so regularly. The other children are jealous of her and lock her in a closet. So that's what they do, because she is one who is privileged, who has been able to see the sun and enjoy the sunlight and seen it for a number of years. So that's why they feel jealous and spiteful. They lock her up in the closet. Climax comes when the sun comes and the children come out and enjoy themselves. That's the climax of the story, when the sun finally comes out for an hour and the children enjoy themselves in the sun and the sunlight. Rising action occurs when suddenly a girl finds a raindrop and they realize that 1 hour is over. They return and remember Margot and let her out and stand frozen. So that 1 hour is over. They realize when that girl wails with that open palm, there's a raindrop on her hand, on her palm. So that acts as a realization, the rising action, that the 1 hour is over. Then they go back and they release Margot from the closet and stand frozen. Conclusion: the precious sun came and went, but Margot, who loved it so much, had missed it because of their despicable act, because of their grievous, heinous act of jealousy. She was locked up, and she, the one who loved the sun the most, she, the one who has enjoyed the sunlight out in the earth for so long, she's the one who is deprived of it. So these are basically some of the points of the story. Of course, do remember to write it down, and you can incorporate it in your answers. And that's all for now as far as the text is concerned. Of course, like and share this video if you find it interesting, and thanks for watching. Thanks for your love and support.